Hey there, hello and welcome. It is Madeline here, and I am so happy to be back with you guys. I have been super sick. I was away at an energy training that I had told you about, and then I said I was back, and then I got sick, and I was really sick. So anyway, I'm starting to feel better, even though I'm not 100%. Maybe you can hear it, maybe you can't. And I'm on a new device, so I may look a little different. But I'm super excited to be back here with you, right? So, and today, right, so my being sick has a little bit what I want to talk to you about today, because it was hard for me, and I was really sick, right? Because I kind of like fell off the face of Facebook earth while I wasn't feeling well. So, and I had a hard time slowing down and taking the time for myself and to rest and to heal, instead of working, right? Because I felt like, oh, I need to be working. There's so much that I need to do and all that stuff, right? So in the meantime, but I managed, okay? So I managed to do that. But in the meantime, right, I'm having conversations with some girlfriends, and more than one of them, right? I have some friends that are still in the corporate world, and more than one of them said to me, you know, I'm talking to them in the car on the way home, and they say, oh, I've left early, right? I've left early for the day because I need to XYZ. And it's 5 o'clock, right? Like it's 5 or 5:30. And I point out to them, how is this early? And they're like, yeah, I know. And this is the culture in the corporate world, isn't it? Right? Well, this is the culture in the corporate world where I used to work. And for my whole corporate career, from what I recall, and this is what I'm still hearing from my friends who are still in that world. So today I want to bust the myth that you need to work hard in order to be successful. How does that feel to you, right? So that's a story that I told myself all of my life, right? That if I will be successful, if I work hard. And I appreciate a strong work ethic. I do work hard, and I like to work, and I know that you, my high achiever, likes to work as well, right? So you're not slacking, you're in leadership, and you make things happen. You have a high level of responsibility. So I get that, like you're not cutting out at 5 o'clock, okay? But it's okay to cut out at 5 o'clock. How does that feel to you, right? It's okay to cut at 5 o'clock. Because as a leader, you're not getting paid for the hours that you work. You're getting paid for the results that you deliver. And, right, let that sink in, right? That's right, you know that. You know that as a person in leadership or who's running their own business, right? It's really not about the number of hours that you work, bears repeating. It's about the results that you deliver. And ideally, you want to deliver maximum results in the minimum amount of hours, don't you? That's right. But in the corporate culture, right, so especially, not so much for my entrepreneurs, but maybe my entrepreneurs who have people who are working for them, okay? So, but in the corporate culture, it's kind of, like expected that you're available all the time. And now with our devices in our pockets, now your boss, your leadership, board members can be texting you and emailing you. And some may think that it's cool to be replying or sending emails late at night because it makes you seem important or dedicated. In my opinion, I think that's foolish, right? If you're sending emails at bedtime, or what should be your bedtime. It's not cool, and it's not good for you. And that leads to resentment, right? So even if you're just joining, say hey so I can see who it is. We're talking about, do you have to work hard to be successful, right? And no one's putting down a strong work ethic, right? I work hard. I like to work, but I want to work smarter, not harder. And always being available to the corporate culture is not a healthy state of mind, right? I just talked about how sending emails, texts, always being available, going on vacation and being available via email. And again, I get that if you're in leadership, you may not just be able to cut off for any length of time. But I have one friend who in particular is really good at this, that she sets boundaries as to when she will be available on vacation, and she checks emails once a day on vacation that I know of. And I think that's reasonable. She's keeping things under control. She's an executive, and at the same time, she's enjoying her vacation time with her family, right? So what's the moral of the story here? One, work smarter, not harder. And this is really about establishing boundaries for yourself. Oh, there's that word again. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago, I think, right? Because if you're not establishing boundaries about this is when I will be available, this is when I'm going to work, this is when I'm going to have downtime, then that breeds resentment if you feel like you need to be available all the time, or if you feel that work is infringing upon your free time. And for my entrepreneurial friends, I know you want your business to be working for you, right? As opposed to the other way around. So how do you do this? And the first step is really a mindset. And if you're suffering, before I go there, if you're suffering from anxiety, all this availability, being on call all the time, working all the time, even if you're not in your office or in the workplace, being available all the time, or having the expectation of your superiors that you're going to respond within 5 minutes, immediately, if not sooner, and that you're going to email at any time of day or night, that's fueling your anxiety, isn't it? Because now you're fearful of, what is leadership? What is my leadership going to think? What if I don't get back to them right away? Especially, excuse me, especially if this is the culture in your workplace. And I know that it's the culture in many workplaces. It was the culture in my workplace when I left. I remember back when I was a director level, and before I had my breakdown and my anxiety was really high, and I told my supervisor at the time that I felt like I needed to work late or I was going to be frowned upon. I felt that I needed to be available all the time, or that I was going to be looked down upon as not, being dedicated, not being loyal to the company. And he had suggested that I talk to someone, which I thought was interesting because he was a part of the problem at the time, right? He was the one who had expectations, because he would say to me about, other people, they cut out at 5 o'clock, or, they're not putting in the hours necessary to get the work done. And then that would fuel my anxiety about my performance level, right? Am I doing a good enough job? Am I going to get fired, right? Like, I was never at risk of being fired, but because I am a hard worker. But this is what anxiety does, right? We latch on to these stories of, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, what are they going to think of me? Oh, in today's economy, I can be replaced just like that. And maybe your boss says that in, in meetings or in the workplace. And this is really about your boundaries. Okay, so this is really about your boundaries and your self-respect for yourself. Okay, again, I understand that you're in leadership, and you may not work 9 to 5. You have responsibilities that extend into your personal life. I get that, right? But there is high level of responsibility. There's high level of responsibility, and there's also being on call all the time, and then there's spaces in between. And I ask you, how do you feel about your level of responsibility? This is a question that I ask my clients on a regular basis, right? If you are feeling resentful or unappreciated about the amount or the level of work that you are providing to your company, then that's a problem. And I dare say that that's your stuff, right? So, and this is what we work on in my primordial power problem, right? That's your stuff. So I know I just talked about the corporate culture and the expectation that you're always available and that you're always on. But what if you knew you were confident in your abilities, right? What if you knew that I'm doing a good job, right? I'm doing the best. I'm doing my best at all times, and I'm confident that I'm getting the job done, right? And if they think someone else can do it better, let them have at it, because I know that I am a grade A employee, and I'll be able to find work anywhere because I'm awesome, right? So if a part of you feels that, and a part of you feels like, yeah, but I need my job, right? I have a mortgage, and I have kids in college, and cars and vacations, and all the things, and you're starting to feel physical symptoms of anxiety, then we should talk, right? Okay, this is exactly the kind of shift that we would facilitate in my Primordial Power program. I would help you make that shift. It would happen pretty quickly, and then I would help you integrate the changes into your life, okay? And I'll tell you, MadeleineCorrea.com/talk for your breakthrough call. So you can have a breakthrough instead of a breakdown, because in my experience, it's one or the other, right? Eventually, it's one or the other. So what does that look like, right? What does healing your anxiety and your mindset around working smarter versus harder look like? Looks like more rest, okay? You're getting 8 hours of sleep a night, right? You're meditating, you're going to the gym, you're eating healthy, and we don't have excuses of, I don't have time to do that, Madeline. You don't have time not to, do you, right? I guess the first thing I should have said is more self-love, okay? Self-love, and I'm not talking about self-care, right? That falls under, that's a subsidiary of self-love, but I'm not talking about, a day on the golf course or a spa day, right? Those are cool and you should go, right? You should do those as often as possible. But I'm talking about the way you talk to yourself, okay? That inner critic, instead of that inner critic in your head, there's a cheerleader in your head. And in my Primordial Power program, I'm your cheerleader, right? In the meantime, I'm the cheerleader until you learn how to be your own cheerleader, okay? And that involves making space in your life to learn how to do those things, okay? To make space for the transformation that needs to occur, for you to come out from underneath your anxiety and or overwhelm, right? Because you're getting your work done in a normal amount of hours, right? In a normal work day, or less than, so you can cut out early. You're the boss, right? That's right? So, but we make space for the shift that needs to occur, the transformation that needs to occur, so you can be anxiety free and feel good about what you get done every day at work, regardless of how many hours that it took you. And this involves making time for those things of self-care, right? The self-love does include, is not exclusive of, but it does include making the time, realizing that you are important enough to get enough sleep, to eat healthy, to go to bed on time, okay? To go to the gym, to meditate, to pray. So you can cultivate that feeling of confidence and inner peace, and have, as a result, have more faith in yourself and the job that you're doing and your role in the world, right? Be it your company, your home, your relationships. Because if you think you need to be, if you're of the mindset that you need to work hard in order to be successful, then I'm going to venture to guess that you're not on sure footing in any of those places in your life, right? In your relationships, with others, in yourself, and in the workplace. Even if you are in leadership, if you're suffering from anxiety, you're worried about being found out, aren't you? That's right. So in my Primordial Power program, first thing we do is we have the breakthrough session. I'm gonna talk about what that is in a little bit more detail in the coming days. But essentially, we wipe the slate clean, release yourself, uncover the root cause of your anxiety, and then release it so that you have a clean slate from which you can implement all the changes that we talked about today, that I talked about today. And then I'll be your cheerleader, right? Because it's going to take a while. It's going to take a minute, right, before you are strong enough and confident enough to be that for yourself. So I'm going to be that for you, and then I'll show you how to do it yourself. Okay, so if this sounds like the love and support that you need, right, that's feeling good to you to heal your anxiety, then I invite you to book a complimentary breakthrough call with me. Okay, you do that by going to MadelynCorrea.com/talk. I'll put the link in the comments below. And just looking at my notes to see if there was anything else I wanted to say to you. I think that's it for now. Okay, so I hope this serves you. Let me know what questions you have. I will look forward to seeing you again in the next video or talking to you on that breakthrough call. But until then, I will see you in the gap. Namaste. Be blessed. Mwah.